Welcome to Current Issues with Dr. Kirk Megu for Tuesday, the 10th of July, 2018. I'm glad to have you here. We begin with today's memo, the Anti-Terrorism Bill. Why the fuss? The recent passing of the Anti-Terrorism Bill was accompanied by a lot of noise and debate, but it was eventually passed in both houses last week. Does this bill make Trinidad and Tobago any safer from terrorism and terrorist attacks? What was its purpose? Is the purpose of the bill to protect Trinidad and Tobago from terrorism, or is it to protect the international community from Trinidadian terrorists, or both? Sadly, we have had our experiences of domestic terrorism, for example, the attempted coup in 1990, the still unsolved bombings in Port of Spain in 2005, and a plot by a long-time political activist here to blow up fuel tanks at JFK Airport in New York City. In addition, Trinidad has become a major exporter of ISIS recruits from the Western Hemisphere. In fact, there may very well be links between international recruitment for ISIS and the gang warfare between Rasta City and the Muslims. That is because most terrorist organizations are also involved in international drug running, arms dealing, and human trafficking to fund their operations. This may very well filter down to Trinidad gangs, which should also be considered domestic terror organizations. But the anti-terrorism bill seems to be more concerned with the fight against international terrorism than with protecting us here in Trinidad and Tobago. However, the concern of the US and the EU with regard to terrorism is perplexing, to say the least. They support anti-government terrorists in Syria and the Ukraine and elsewhere, while condemning legitimate governments as terrorists when it suits their agendas. In fact, reflecting a sort of terrorism of their own, one of the pressing issues raised by the Attorney General was that Trinidad and Tobago would be blacklisted by over 190 countries if we did not pass the legislation, even though we are already blacklisted by the EU, OECD, and various international payment processors for years now. This scare tactic was used to attempt to rush through legislation at the last minute. The opposition must be commended for not allowing the Attorney General to sneak through laws that would expand his powers and more easily subject citizens to potential political victimization. There was a showdown of sorts, but the bill was finally passed with the opposition's concerns met and the Attorney General's power brought back into line with the Constitution. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. But in the meanwhile, is Trinidad and Tobago any safer? I somehow don't think so. But at least we may have dodged a bullet.